Maybe if I request.
Yeah, I'm recording.
All right.
Oh, there we go. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You hear me?
We're going to give it one more minute before we start.
No, because that means I can't go to Costco right now. Yeah.
All right, if you're not presenting, if you can mute your microphone.
All right, it's 10:04 and you are joining us for our third webinar on, I apologize, I'm still getting requests and they keep popping up on my screen. So sorry for that. Thank you for joining us. This is our third webinar, which is part of our Multidisciplinary Approaches to End Homelessness series. The Housing, Homelessness Prevention, and Workforce Solutions Department, specifically our Continuum of Care Division, which I am so fortunate to work for, is hosting this webinar. And we plan on continuing to carry out these series for the next 12 months. Today is extra special because we have our county departments, two county departments, Department of Public Social Services, and our county behavioral health department joining us to share on the work they're doing to end family homelessness. My name is Tanya Torno. I'm the manager for the Continuum of Care Division, and we have a lot of our staff on the line who have all worked very diligently to prepare for today's workshop. We're excited about these webinars because they give us an opportunity to connect with you virtually, but really it's truly an opportunity for agencies who are doing their part to end homelessness, to share on best practices, tools and resources that they use to navigate clients to housing and to help them alleviate their or come out of poverty. I just wanted to make sure everyone was aware that we are recording today's webinar. So make sure if you have your camera on that, right, you have your hair, your glasses are where they need to be, you're feeling proud about the way you look, because you may end up on our webpage. Well, you will end up on our webpage. But of course, for those of you that are not comfortable showing your video, feel free to turn off your video. You can totally listen in, absolutely no pressure. Before we get started, I did want to make a pitch. We are always working on securing new speakers for this workshop. So if you are interested in highlighting a program that you administer, highlighting a team that you work together with, please feel free to send us an email at coc@rivco.org. We'd love to hear from you, and we're happy to work with you to put together your PowerPoint presentation slides for your presentation. So please think of us. Again, this is all about connecting people. We recognize that there are always new programs coming into fruition, and so we want to be able to provide all of our outreach workers, case workers, supervisors, and managers who are in this work with us with the tools they need to be successful. So now we can jump on to the next slide and I'll tell you a little bit more about our agenda and who you are going to be hearing from today. So again, Tanya Torno, manager with Riverside County's Continuum of Care. I don't know how I got to be so fortunate enough to take on this role, but I can tell you it's a dream. I absolutely love it. And you'll often hear me say that I feel like I work for the best department ever. But again, shout out to the other agencies. I know that those of you feel the same way about the agencies that you represent as well. We are going to be hearing specifically from Ernesto Cepeda, who is an employment services coordinator with DPSS, and then Anne Chacon, who is with our county behavioral health. She's a behavioral health services supervisor there, and is near and dear. I have worked with her previously in my former life with the Housing Authority, so truly excited to have her on the line. The good news is we did save some time at the end for us to answer any questions that you have. So feel free as the speakers are presenting to enter questions or type in your questions into the chat box. We have Heather on the line who is going to be reading those questions out loud to both Anne and Ernesto as they come up. So type away, take advantage of this opportunity. And again, please do keep in mind that if you have to step away from your desk because you have to take a call, we know everyone is so busy. This presentation is being recorded and will be available on our website. So if you missed anything, you can always tune back in to catch what you may have missed. And so with that, we will jump over to the next slide, and I am going to go ahead and hand it off very proudly to Anne and Ernesto. Thank you so much for joining us.
And please welcome Melissa. Please take it away.
Good morning. My name is Melissa Camarena. I am a behavioral health specialist with CalWORKS Behavioral Health. Today, we're going to share a success story of how behavioral health, DPSS, and housing collaborated to support a family with securing housing while we were all telecommuting. This picture shows some, not all, of who were involved with helping the family secure housing. Can you change the next slide?
Excuse me, Melissa, I'm having a bit of a hard time hearing you. Can you get closer to your mic, please?
Yes. Is that better?
Oh, that's better. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that. The family that we supported was able to receive our collaborative supportive services because they were receiving CalWORKS benefits, as well as family stabilization services, or FSS. The California Work Opportunity and Responsibility for Kids, or CalWORKS, is a public assistance program that gives cash assistance to eligible families in California. Next slide.
I don't know if everyone is able to hear Melissa, but I'm still having a bit of a hard time. Is everyone okay? Can they hear?
No.
Okay, then it might just be me. That's okay. Thank you.
Well, I'm having a hard time also.
I am as well.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, we can't
Is that
hear you.
better?
You might just have to project a little bit more.
Okay. No problem. Because the family was receiving CalWORKS benefits and informed of barriers to full participation in welfare to work activities, such as the need for housing, they were referred to FSS, or Family Stabilization Services, and the Housing Support Program, which provides intensive case management and services for support with addressing these barriers that they indicated. Next slide.
I'm so sorry, Melissa. It's still a little bit hard to hear you. You kind of go in and out.
Yeah, I'm having the same issue.
Yeah, we don't want to miss anything you're saying, so.
Okay. Is that better?
It is.
A little better? Sorry about
Yeah. Just like Melanie said, just try to speak a little bit louder. Maybe that'll help.
that. Okay. Okay. So this next slide, it shows how families or individuals who are interested in CalWORKS can apply to see if they are eligible. They can go to see if they're eligible to See For Yourself website. They can also apply at See For Yourself using the app, or by calling the self-service hotline, or by contacting any one of these departments listed below. So now Ernesto, who is our FSS Employment Service Counselor, will share more on how we all collaborated to support this family with securing housing.
Oh my God. Can
And are you?
Heather jump in? Okay.
We can't hear you.
Oh.
Pardon me, to make matters worse, Ernesto is working from home and his power went out.
Oh no.
So I'm not sure what we're going to do right this second. Maybe what we could do is maybe move to my slides and then maybe he can turn back on.
Let's hope, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. For you to jump in. Oh. Got it. Okay. Okay, pardon me. As we collaborate how to deal with our technical difficulties, we are going to do a tag team. Heather is going to go attend a meeting and Kiana is going to jump in and take over for Ernesto. So in between time, I'm going to let you know more about how we were involved and how we work with DPSS. So fortunately, our offices are inside the same DPSS offices at almost all of the GAIN offices throughout the county. And as part of the behavioral health team, we're here to provide services to reduce barriers to help customers enter the workforce and become self-sufficient. So we have an MOU with DPSS, so we work in conjunction with all of the cases. So how we sort of made things modern when we had these big changes is that we all got onto teams, and then we would meet each week with each different site, and we'd be able to collaborate on the different cases. So one of the things, maybe we could just skip to a different slide, and we'll come back when Ms. Kiana hops on. Can we go to one more? One more, because that's part of our story. We were going to tell you a story to show how we collaborated and how it all worked out. So the part of our story is that it takes our whole village to help these families, and that we wanted to say special thanks to all of these people that were involved. And there's a lot of people that we probably didn't even be able to capture their names. So one of the things that we are able to do is Melissa's our behavioral health specialist too. So could you change to the next slide, please? So as you're probably wondering, how did we able to do this? Well, as you can see, the See For Yourself is an app that the customers can use to work with all the needed information from DPSS. So as we evolved from working from telehealth, what we needed to do is the staff became able to teach the customers how to use the apps, because many of the customers were not familiar with the technology. They just were not tech savvy. So some of the things we would teach was helping them download apps like Zoom, helping them locate on the Zoom the share icon, and on the share icon, They could help them read and understand and complete required documents, and also help them email documents instead of printing when it was accepted. We would use the Teams app so that we could be very efficient and quickly communicate with all of the cases, and to give updates of the families and collaborate new ideas to help the families succeed. And let's see. Oh, one of the apps on here is, if you see the green one, it's called the Rover app. That was probably the most ingenious app that we found. So in our story, the customer had a dog and puppies, and she was not able to leave the motel without, supervising the animals. So Melissa and the customer together found this app called Rover, and it's actually a dog sitting service. And with this dog sitting service, it allowed her to leave the motel and attend her doctor appointments and view the potential apartments. And Melissa, what are some of the other things that we were able to do?
We were able to help her be able to complete applications. We support with sharing the screen. Sometimes there's the customers that we work with, they don't have the resources to print, or sometimes they're not able to, they weren't able to complete certain tasks without transportation. And even though we were telecommuting, we were still able to support them the way we would in the office, as we would if we were in the office.
Are there any questions at this time?
And I think what I might recommend, since we had a few people that joined in late, is if you don't mind just introducing yourself and maybe talking about your role, what you do with behavioral health and the services that you provide. I think people would really appreciate that.
Okay, thank you, Tanya. And again, we apologize for some of our speakers whose power went out, so things are not really going the direction that we have practiced. So my name is Ann Shaquin. I'm a supervisor for behavioral health, and we have a contract with DPSS, and so we provide services to the CalWORKS GAIN folks, and we try to help them overcome barriers to help them re-enter the workforce and become self-sufficient. So we are able to provide therapy, groups, individual sessions, case management, substance use counseling, any barriers that could possibly interfere with them going back to work. And we're still waiting for our other presenter. So Tanya, I'm sort of at a loss.
That's okay.
No, I'm here, Ann. I can
Oh,
jump
you're
in for him. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Hi, everybody.
Wonderful.
Hi.
Tanya, this is Michelle Gracia from Aspiranet. Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can. Hi, Michelle.
Oh, hi. I had received the email, and because I'm not in behavioral health per se, we do have a behavioral health arm with Aspiranet, but I'm with the transitional housing program for the non-minor dependents that age out of foster care. And so I just thought I received the email because I was part of the group that was working on that last RFP. So I'm assuming that's why I'm continuing to get these emails. I just thought, since it had to do with homelessness and housing, that joining the call would be beneficial.
Thanks, Michelle, for jumping on, and thank you to everyone who jumped on. As Ann explained,
No, they're on.
no, I just want to make sure that everyone, if you can help us mute your devices, thank you so much. As Ann was explaining, we did, some of our team members did experience some technical difficulties. So the team that was scheduled to speak today, is just troubleshooting, but I see that Kiana Forbes on the line. Thank you for joining us and jumping in to help us cover information about the work that both DPSS and our County Behavioral Health Department are doing to end homelessness. There are some questions in the chat box, but before we get to those, Kiana, why don't I hand it off to you, let you introduce yourself and talk about your role in all of this work. And we'll just need you to unmute yourself and you can take the mic. There you go.
Okay, thank you, Tanya. Good morning, everybody. Sorry about that. We worked really hard, and as we know, we're in this new world right now, and technology issues seem to come up every day. So we do appreciate you all just taking the time and just bearing with us. So my name's Kiana Forbes. I'm one of the Welfare to Work supervisors here in the Desert Hot Springs office. I actually manage the FSS program for our office. Can we go back to the first slide?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Kiana, can I interrupt you? Can you, you used an acronym that some people may not be familiar with. Can you just let us know what that program is?
Oh, yes. So I'm sorry about that.
That's
FSS is Family Stabilization Services. HSP is Housing Support Services. Welfare to Work is WTW is the Welfare to Work program through DPSS. All right.
Thank you.
Okay, so in the month of May, we received an application from an expecting mother who was looking for, she was looking for assistance through our CalWORKS program, as well as looking for homeless assistance. She then requested homeless assistance from her worker in June. She was approved the homeless assistance, issued 16 nights through our CalWORKS program. Then FSS, which is our Family Stabilization, then received a referral for the customer. We also assisted with providing hotel stay for up to 14 nights. Then the customer, we were informed that the customer was living in an unsafe condition. So we actually had to dispatch police out to help the customer to get all her belongings and basically vacate the premises to make sure she was safe. During that time, then we were able to get her another voucher to a hotel where, again, she stayed the 14 nights. And customer, we followed up with the customer. She was able to make it safely. We were able to get her another voucher for another hotel, made sure that she checked in, made sure she was safe. Customer called us, let us know she was safe. Just for that. Next slide. All right. So during her stay on our voucher, we assisted the customer with providing some housing leads for her, as far as looking for apartments that would meet her eligibility requirements. During that time, we needed some assistance from a program called Project Room Key. Behavioral Health stepped in as well and helped us get the customer linked with Project Room Key, and they offered assistance for her to also stay in her room as well. In the beginning, she actually was denied with Project Room Key due to she had puppies. The puppies had to be licensed, and they weren't at that time, so the customer was able to go in. She applied for licensing for the puppies and then was able to get accepted into the program. During that time, we did have to ask for an extension through our FSS program while we worked out the kinks with the puppies and Project Room Key. So Javon Zabrowski, which is one of the supervisors over the program, was able to secure her an extension for 3 days. During that time, she was able to get, like I said, the dog's license, and we were able to get her checked in. Customer did go and locate a unit. That unit, let's see. So she had found a unit. She got approved, but really did not like that unit too much, but we were going to go ahead and take that unit. I called in to check with the housing rental place, and unfortunately, I was informed that the unit was rented out. During that time, we had to go back to the drawing board and then look for another unit. Next slide. So then we were informed that there was another studio available for the customer. Customer went and looked at that unit. She liked the unit. Paperwork was completed. And next slide. All right, so she found another unit, got approved for that unit, but then we realized that customer did not have a refrigerator. And in order for a unit to pass inspection through Housing Authority, a refrigerator has to be in the unit. So we reached out to our admin team. We were able to secure a refrigerator for the customer. It was actually delivered before the inspection. And the family received the keys on September 9th, 2020. Next one. And sorry, everybody, thank you for your patience. I'm trying to work through notes and yes. Next slide, Melissa. And I think that's it. Basically, it just took a whole village to make the success story for this customer, as well as the success in the work with the customer. In the end, she was placed and happy. She ended up having the baby, and that's our success story.
Thank you so much for that presentation. We do have quite a few questions in the chat box. So if you guys are ready, I'll begin to read these out loud. The one that I can take is someone had asked if they could obtain copies of the slides. Yes, we will make sure to upload these on our website. In addition to this video recording, we will also send out a copy of the presentation to all of our Continuum of Care members. So keep an eye out for that email after this webinar. But Kiana and not sure which one of you would like to tackle this question, but Jim Bolas with Engaged Community Consulting asks, is this only regarding families, or will needs of unaccompanied youth be addressed as well? So do you serve unaccompanied youth?
What's the definition of that? Is that like somebody over 18?
I believe it's anyone under the age of 18. Jim Bolas, if you're still on, if you want to unmute yourself and.
Yeah, thanks, Tanya. Sorry about that. I should have been clearer. But unaccompanied youth, we're talking about any young person that's not connected to family, right? So it can be under 18, it can be over 18 to 25. We define youth as 12 to 25.
Well, I can answer, I guess, from a CalWORKS and family stabilization standpoint. For us to assist, the person does have to basically have children in the home under the age of 18. If the kid happens to be under 18 and say maybe pregnant or so, then we can determine if they're eligible for the program, but usually it would be an adult who does have minor children with them.
And then on the behavioral health side, and Jim, I expect you probably already know, we have a wonderful TAY program that specializes in the young people for the behavioral health.
And Anne, can you explain what TAY stands for and the services they provide just briefly?
I believe it's transitional age youth, and then they have substance use counselors, therapists, peer people to work with them hand in hand to help them maneuver themselves through the mental health, behavioral health field. And the one in La Quinta, there's a place that they can sort of hang out at, and they do special projects and art and to sort of normalize some of the mental health conditions that they may have.
Thank you. Mary Martinez Zayas asked, did the client have to pay for pet services? A lot of our homeless clients, as we know, have pets, and they're usually well-trained, well-kept pets. But as always, we find that when we can offer incentives to people, whether it means that their pets can come with them, as you described, to their emergency shelter location, or if we can offer veterinary type of services. And sometimes, right, like that itself serves as a great incentive tool to get a customer to say, yes, I will begin working with you. But in your specific scenario, did the client have to pay for pet services?
The Rover app did have a cost to it. I just don't know the details on that. But it was like a pet sitting instead of like a babysitting service. It's a dog sitting service, so that there's somebody watching your dogs while you can go run and do errands or what have you.
All right. That covers all of the questions in the chat box. I think what we will allow for our participants to do now, if you have a question that you would like to ask regarding the case scenario or the services that our DPSS self-sufficiency team or county behavioral health team provides, feel free to unmute yourself if you're going to ask a question, and we'll go ahead and open up the Q&A. Does anyone have any questions? All right.
Shauna,
Oh, do we have a question?
Yes. So I know you answered the question about did the client have to pay for pet services? Does that also did the client have to pay for the registration or certification for the service animals?
I believe the person did that online as an emotional support animals, and yes, they did pay for that themselves, but we did help them find discount shots and chip for the animals to make all that process so that the motels would allow the animals in. But we did find the discount place. I think that was in San Bernardino, I believe.
Thank you.
But maybe just on another note, I'm sorry, Tanya, is that you guys, a lot of people have been talking about the animals. And so one of our backup plans is that we are working with the Department of Animal Services. And that was going to be just in case we weren't able to get the animals as support animals, the animal support services was going to be able to house the animals temporarily while the person went to go have the baby, or wait till they have her doctor's appointment. So that was going to be our backup plan. But the Rover app came in instead, and she was able to make that happen. But that was our great backup plan.
Awesome. We had another question come through the chat box. What are the qualifying factors for a family to meet criteria for the Family Self-Sufficiency Housing Support Program?
Kian, I think that's for you.
Yes. Yeah, sorry, I was trying to click the unmute button. The qualifying factors, number one is they do have to be an active participant on CalWORKS, on the CalWORKS Assistance Program. So again, that's your families or individuals who do have children under the age of 18.
And just a follow-up question to that, with COVID, as we all know, a lot of businesses have had to close their door, and a lot of social service agencies, both public and private, nonprofit, have had to adjust in how they determine eligibility for clients. Can you talk about what the intake process looks like for a person who, or a family who is interested in enrolling in CalWORKS or determining if they're eligible?
Yes, so the first step is obviously applying, submitting an application where you can do that either online, which we provided those hyperlinks and websites, online at that see4yourself.com, You can fax in an application to any of the offices. They can call. They can stop by, pick up an application. Again, we are only open right now to the public from 8 to 10 daily, but during that time they're welcome. Or again, they can call an office and we'll mail it out. During that, then they do have to comply with CalWORKS and their requirements as far as providing documents to state they're eligible, whether if they're working, they have to provide proof of income. If they are, I guess, going through any barriers or crisis, what they usually do is ask for a referral over to our FSS program, or if the worker sees that obviously the customer is going through something, then they'll create a referral over to our program as well. But again, it does start initially with CalWORKS. So once they apply, the CalWORKS ET will reach out to them, provide a list of documents and verifications that they need to provide and comply with to determine if eligible. Once they are active, again, like I said, we'll get a referral over, then we step in for FSS and we'll complete another intake process where we determine if they're eligible to our program. And at that point, then we conduct another intake interview with the customer, determine their barriers, make any appropriate referrals to behavioral health, where else? If customer wants to attend school, things like that. And yeah, I hope I answered that.
Yeah, and I have some knowledge of the housing support program because through my former work with the Housing Authority of the County of Riverside, the Housing Authority is a contracted partner and works with DPSS so that as families are determined eligible for FSS and the housing support program, they are matched with a housing navigator through the Housing Authority whose sole role and purpose, right? All of us are always looking for purpose, but their sole role and purpose is to work with that family to help them find housing. So that navigator truly has, wears a real estate agent hat and is actively working to maintain partnerships with landlords who are partnering with the county to rent to families, in addition to, conducting new recruitment efforts through landlord recruitment events. There's different orientation events where landlords who are interested in learning more about renting to a family who's going to be receiving a housing subsidy can be walked through that process, what supporting documentation we need, what the payment process will look like. And so that department has had a lot of success in recruiting new landlords and maintaining relationships with existing landlords. So although the Housing Authority was not included in this presentation, know that they work very, very closely with the three teams. The CalWORKS Housing Support Program provides families with move-in assistance towards a rental unit, and will also provide them with up to 6 months of rental assistance. So keeping in mind all that Kiana shared about eligibility and families' ability to go in from 8 to 10 a.m. at any of the DPSS self-sufficiency offices. Once they are determined eligible, they're automatically linked, if eligible, to a county behavioral health worker or to a navigator at the Housing Authority that is going to help take them from homelessness, if it's street homelessness, or if they're in an emergency shelter, take them from that into a private rental unit. And of course, the goal after the 6 months is that that family will be able to maintain the rent moving forward. For families who need additional time, the Housing Authority has also established a special preference on its Section 8 waiting list so that those that need additional assistance can receive a Section 8 voucher. Kiana, I see your hand raised. Did you want to add additional feedback? Feel free to chime in.
Yes, sorry about that. So another program that Also is kind of under that, not kind of, but under the umbrella is our child only program. So what that program consists of is those are our adults who say may be ineligible non-citizens, timed out, maybe Social Security recipients, where they're not receiving aid per se for themselves, but they are getting it for their children. We will still assist those families as well. I did notice a question in the chat box. Screen for eligibility needers. Sometimes they are screened. The CalWORKS ETs knows the red flags or flags to look for, but customers can just request to be referred on their own. How do we refer a family? I'm welcome to provide our information. We are outside of the Desert Hot Springs office. If they do call us, then we can go ahead and route them to the appropriate office. So I'm offering my information. I'll put it in the chat.
And then one more question. What are the qualifications for the child only program? Kiana, you're on mute. Sometimes
yeah, sorry. I go and click myself on mute really quick, and then the qualifications again are the same thing. It's the CalWORKS is basically the main, what am I saying? The main avenue to get to our program. But qualifications wise, again, if they're not receiving aid themselves, what we do is we send a referral over to our admin team to do some research to determine if they're eligible for the child only program, and then we'll go ahead and assist them at that point. Let me pull up the exact qualifications and I can share that, maybe that brief list so that everyone's aware.
And I think what we can also do is add a slide before we send this out, which includes each of your contact information. I think what also would be helpful is I imagine some of the callers are probably thinking, where can people go to apply for assistance? And so DPSS has a dedicated page on their website that shows all of their different offices where clients can be seen. And I believe that you have staff co-located at these sites that are available to be screened for county behavioral health services, which is again just an amazing resources, and helps transition that client successfully, between DPSS and county behavioral health services, so they're not having to go off site to navigate additional resources. So I just want to make sure that people know that these two departments have really thought out well how to wrap their arms around clients in order to create more success stories like the ones that we heard today. Oh, good. So we do have a slide there that already has all of the different offices. So we'll make sure to get that out to everyone. And there's one more question. Is there a brochure or flyer with that information? I believe there is a CalWORKS Housing Support Program flyer. I've seen it, so scratch believe it does exist, and we'll make sure that we get it out to you as well. Anne, did you want to say anything before we wrapped up?
Yeah, and just that as we provide behavioral health, so we also provide the intensive case management. So we also do help the folks deal with the housing. So I think one person asked a question, how long does it take? Well, as soon as they're in the motel, we try to connect with them after we do a behavioral health screening to make sure that there's any immediate mental health needs, and we could address that right away. Otherwise, we start talking to them about their budget and, how close what city do they want to live in? Do they want to live close to their work? Do they have transportation to work? Do they have childcare? So we try and incorporate all of those needs together as we work with them on a daily basis to see if they can get a house before the end of the motel voucher. That's the goal.
Awesome. Well, with that, it is 10:47, and we have kept you beyond the 10:30 time limit, but only because someone just texted me Frontier had a big power outage, which is why some of our speakers were disconnected. So we appreciate Kiana and Melissa, who were able to remain on, and we pray for Heather and for Ernesto, who it seems may have been affected. But once again, thank you all for joining us for today's presentation. We'll make sure that we send you a link to where the presentation is going to be posted, in addition to a copy of the PowerPoint presentation, and then any additional brochure, flyer information that you as outreach workers, case managers, supervisors, and managers can keep on hand. So when you have those clients in front of you, you can say, I have a resource for you. So thank you again for joining us. Please continue to stay safe. We appreciate all that you do in this work to end homelessness. Blessings to all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, no, it can see.
Laura, go ahead and end recording.
Where do I just, do I put it where it says
Go
dismiss?
back to the three dots.
Oh, stop recording.